Yes, you read that right. I've been playing VHS. After some talks and the Rift being over, I thought it would be a good idea to give it a try. So I played for 3 days on stream. Shameless plug here. You should probably totally check me out. I stream 3 days a week for VHS and Dead by Daylight. And I wanted to talk about my short journey into enjoying this game. Before we talk about the game itself, after what I had heard as an outsider, I was expecting it to be a bunch of tryhard GG easy players. But honestly, with the player counts being so low, and yes, we will talk about that, most, if not everyone I met was really nice and helpful. The game has a very small town vibe, and a feeling I haven't felt since my days of playing PC games before matchmaking was a thing. And I know that's a very anecdotal thing, but I thought it was at least notable to mention. Now, prefacing the game talk, I only played Monster. I know next to nothing about playing Teen. As well, I am very new to this game. I have about 8 hours in it right now. And I don't know or understand everything, so feel free to correct me if I get something wrong. Just please be constructive and not angry in your correction. I understand that there's a lot in this game that I might not know verbatim. As well, I mostly only played Wart. There were 2 matches where I played Werewolf, and I will be going over those for particular reasons. So with that out of the way, let's get into my first 3 days with VHS, or Video Horror Society. So on day one, we had 2 wins and 6 losses. Played a total of 8 games, all of them being Wart. Now, this game's learning curve is massive, and I will say that right now. It does seem simplistic on the face of it, and the biggest takeaways from day one is that I was playing very, very, very slow. I was afraid of everything. Every corner I thought there would be an ambush, etc., etc. There was a lot going on. I didn't know if I should keep chasing people. Tracking was very difficult. I will say that sound is probably your best bet in this game to get better. Is learning sound cues, learning weapon ammo, and learning which weapons do what and when. My best advice for that is to play Teen, or to at least go into the training tool, or talk to some team players and try to figure it out from there. Some opinions I had on day one, or after coming out of day one, that definitely changed as the days went on, and we'll get into, was I thought Shock Sphere was the most broken thing in the game. I thought the eye was the most broken thing in the game, and I thought that the game was meant to be played extremely slowly, with the monster slowly getting grounds over the rounds. On top of that, the progression system, I will say while I enjoy the idea of the progression system, and this is something that still sticks with me after the 3 days, while I enjoy the progression system, I don't think it's as good as it could be. I think it's a little slow to get things. While I do understand the perks in this game aren't as valuable or vital as they are in some other asymmetrical games, it is a little disheartening to not be able to just get them at a very good pace. After 8 hours of play, I still don't have Wart past his second level on his journey. Now, you could argue that that's too short, too long. I think it's too long. But also, it means that I haven't really touched any other character because the progression system is tied per character, which I enjoy. And the free cosmetics and whatnot from the special challenges in the movies are also really, really nice, I will say that. Now, for Wart. The reason I played Wart was mostly because he was the easiest. He seemed to fit my playstyle of being a lot slower. And he just seemed to fit everything. Plus, I kind of want to get good with him, and his mutations all seem very interesting and change his playstyle quite a bit. I did mostly start off using Bombshell, as I got it very early, and I have since started using Throttle, and we'll get into that on day 2, and I find it to be much better and much more consistent. I was armoring up too much, and overall, there were some good plays I made, and some advice I got, the biggest being I need to stop playing so scared. And I think going into day 2, we'll see how that changes. So, day 2 is interesting because we had a 50-50 win-loss. It was 5 wins, 5 losses. Now, the reason for that and why we were able to get more games in was I was starting to play a little bit more aggressive and feel a little bit more confident in my skills. Now, there was a few dumb mistakes I made. I didn't armor up when I should have as Wart. I wasn't using Leap nearly as much. But there was one mutation I got that I think definitely made me feel better. And that was Wart's translocation ability, or echolocation ability, that lets him see which teams are armed. Now, if you're just starting off in this game, I highly, highly, highly recommend this mutation. It will let you make so many decision-making calls that you normally wouldn't, just because it's like, oh, there's a team there, but I don't know what they're armed, so I don't know if I want to go that way. Now that you know that they're armed, you know if they're going to set up for an ambush or not. And it gives you full locations of where the teams are across the entire map, which decision making is huge in this game, and it lets you know your pathing as well. I was getting much better at sound cues. I was getting much better at using my leaps, not just to close the gap, but also to slow people down to guarantee hits. And as I said before, talking about the shock sphere in the eye, so the shock sphere, I was informed, cannot go over vaults. After learning this, the shock sphere actually became less terrifying, and I didn't see it as extremely OP. The eye, I still think, needs a change, personally. I understand that if you lose line of sight, it can be very difficult to actually land a hit with the eye. However, a lot of times that's not feasible, and sometimes players just know where you're hiding anyways. But that's just a personal thing. I don't know if it needs a nerf necessarily, but I do think it's a little bit too strong at times. This was also the first day I tried another monster. I did try werewolf, and I will say werewolf opened my eyes to some things I think make wart in particular, but I would say monster feel frustrating as a general rule of thumb. Werewolf just felt faster. Much faster, and not just the berserk. Her base movement speed felt faster, and I think that's something wart might need personally, but who knows. It could also just be an FOV issue or just the stomping sounds. I'm not sure. Wart just feels extremely slow compared to even Dollmaster, who I've touched in the training mode, just not in a real game. But overall, I think this was the day where I started to have an epiphany on how this game is supposed to be played and how monsters should be pressing their advantage. So day 3 is where I think things got interesting. So we ended the night with 8 wins and 6 losses. However, unlike day 1 and kind of day 2, the losses didn't feel as bad. The games were going much faster. I feel like I was actually able to press my advantages better and understand things to a point to where I was making proper decisions. Even in the games I lost, it was usually because I made one dumb move, or the teams did a really good ambush or something along those lines, or just made a really good play in general. I will say that this game definitely has a lot of potential as far as good playmaking skills. I will say for Teen, it's a lot more positional based, and for Monster, it's a lot more decision making based, which is probably the biggest issue with Monster as far as trying to get better, is that a lot of times it feels like you're only getting better based on a metric that really can't be seen in the moment. You have to see what you were doing a little bit before you did what you did, if that makes any sense. And we still only played Wart. We did get a couple more mutations. I did start to get some perks. And once again, the perks in this game don't feel as game-changing as they do in something like Dead by Daylight. And I'm a little mixed on that. I don't think perks should be completely game-changing, but at the same time, I do find it odd that a lot of times I don't even think about what perks people are bringing in this game, or what perks I even have. I just bring what I bring, usually lethal weapon. I think it's probably the best general perk in the game. Apart from that, though, I will say my 3 days of VHS, I learned to love it. And not in a bad way, not in like a Stockholm Syndrome way, but I learned to enjoy the game for what it was. And I actually think I'm going to keep trying to get better at this game and play it out. And I really hope the player count does go up. I didn't say we would address this. Player count for VHS is very low right now. Queue times weren't that long for me because I was mostly playing Monster, until we got to a certain part of the night where I had about a 10-minute wait time. But I do hope people come back to this game. And I'm not saying it's perfect, because it's far from perfect. The Monster experience does still feel like it's a little sluggish and has its issues. But I hope Hellbent listens to some feedback that some people are giving. Particularly not me. I'm a brand new player. I don't know what's going on at all. There's some things that... mostly the thing with Monster is a lot of it just feels bad. I don't think it necessarily is bad. Like I said, the movement speed for Wart. I had a discussion with someone about this, where if they increased Wart's movement speed even by 2%, it could completely make the character busted. And while I can agree with that, there could be ways to mitigate it and make it so he feels faster than he actually is. A simple FOV change could do that, to be honest. But we'll see where this game goes. I have hopes, and the new monster is coming out soon, the Anomaly, who looks extremely interesting and very, very The Thing based, which already has my interest. But on that note, I'm going to leave you guys with some Dancing Wart. Like I said, I stream 3 days a week, Tuesday through Thursday, VHS and DVD. I'll leave that link below, and you can also follow me on Twitter and all that stuff. Don't forget to subscribe and like and all that stuff I have to say for some reason. But this journey was something I really enjoyed, and I'm glad I gave it a shot and didn't just write it off completely. To my other fellow VHS players, I want to thank y'all for being such a great community and helping me out where I needed it. And to everyone else, thanks for watching the video, and yeah, see ya. Bye. I think I might give it another 5 minutes. And decided to sit inside the pepper. You sound like all my thumbnails. I'm just saying, if there isn't a